Today we're going to look at addition and subtraction of fractions. We're going to start with the addition, and the simplest type of addition of fractions is when two fractions have the same denominator. I'm going to give you an example here. So if we have 1/5 and we're adding 2/5, the denominator is the same, so we keep the denominator as 5. That means that our whole has been split into 5 pieces. If it's a pizza, it's been cut into 5 slices. And then we add the numerator. We have 1/5 and 2/5, so that gives us 3/5. Let's see what that would look like if we drew it. Okay. Here is my shape. I'm going to split it into fifths. 5/5 makes a whole. I start with 1/5. I add 2/5, and you can see visually that I now have 3/5. Okay, nice and straightforward. Okay. However, if I have 3/4 and I need to add 5/8, I need to make the denominator the same. My pizza needs to be cut into the same number of slices. Now luckily, because 4 is a factor of 8, I can make my denominator 8. So 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. We've done equivalent fractions. I've doubled my denominator here to get from 4 to 8. I've doubled my numerator to get from 3 to 6. I then add 5/8, and that gives me 11/8. Okay? Now we've previously done converting between improper fractions and mixed numbers. So to convert that into a mixed number, how many times does 8 go into 11? It goes in once, remainder 3. So we have 1 whole and 3/8. Let's just do one more. Okay, I've now got 3/8, and I'm going to add 1/6. Now this time 6 is not a factor of 8, so I need to find a common denominator. Now one way of finding a common denominator is to multiply my two denominators together, which would give me 48. However, if possible, I want to find the lowest common denominator. So I would look at the multiples of 6 and the multiples of 8 to see the smallest number that is a multiple of both, and I would get 24. 8 multiplied by 3 gives me 24, so 3 multiplied by 3 gives me 9. 6 multiplied by 4 gives me 24, and 1 multiplied by 4 gives me 4. Now my denominator is the same. I leave my denominator as 24. I add my numerator. I have 13/24, sorry, and I cannot simplify that. So that is my final answer. Okay, now one more thing. If we're looking at mixed numbers, so for example, I have 3.5, and I'm adding 4 and 3/5. There are 2 methods, okay? The first one, now this only applies to addition. This doesn't always work for subtraction. So method 1 is I'm just going to rewrite this as 3 plus 1/2 plus 4 plus 3/5. fifths. Okay, I know that addition is commutative, so I can change the order. So I can write this as 3 plus 4 plus 1/2 plus 3 fifths. Okay, I know that 3 plus 4 gives me 7. And now I've got 1/2 plus 3 fifths. I need to find a common denominator. In this case, my common denominator is 10. So I've got 7 plus 5 over 10 plus 6 over 10. That is now going to give me 7 plus 11 over 10. Now I know that 10 goes into 11 one time with 1 left over. So that 11 over 10 I can write as 1 and 1/10. I can now add my 7 and my 1, and that's going to give me 8 and 1/10. Okay, that's method 1 for addition of fractions. I can also convert my mixed numbers into improper fractions. So my other option for question 4, let's do it over here. Okay, so remember let's write the question again. 3.5 plus 4 and 3 fifths. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, add 1 is 7 over 2. 4 multiplied by 5 gives me 20. 20 plus 3 gives me 23 over 5. Again, I need to make my common denominator 10. 2 multiplied by 5 gives me 10, so 7 multiplied by 5 gives me 35. 5 multiplied by 2 gives me 10. 23 multiplied by 2 gives me 46. I keep my denominator the same. I add my numerators. That's going to give me 81. Finally, 10 goes into 81 8 times, remainder 1. 2 different methods for the same answer. Okay, let's quickly look now at some subtraction. It's very similar insofar as you need to have a common denominator before you can subtract one fraction from another. Okay, I'm going to keep the questions very, very similar to before. Okay, my first question, I've got 2 fifths and I'm subtracting 1 fifth. Okay, I keep my denominator the same, and 2 subtract 1 gives me 1. Okay, question 2. I have 3/4, and this time I'm going to subtract 5/8. I need to make my denominator the same. So my denominator is now 8 because 4 is a factor of 8. 4 multiplied by 2 gives me 8. 3 multiplied by 2 gives me 6. Subtract 5 over 8 gives me 1/8. Question 3. Okay, so now I have 3/8 and I'm going to subtract 1/6. I know from when we did it with addition that my lowest common denominator is 24. 8 multiplied by 3 gives me 24. 3 multiplied by 3 gives me 9. 6 multiplied by 4 gives me 24, and 1 multiplied by 4 gives me 4. I keep my denominator the same. 9 subtract 4 gives me 5 over 24, and I cannot simplify it. Finally, when we look at mixed numbers, we have 4 and 3/5, and we're subtracting 3 and a half. Okay? Now, technically with this particular example, I can demonstrate it with two different methods, but it's safest if we just work with one method. Okay, so I'm just going to say one method only. And our method is to use improper fractions. So let's have a look at this and see how it goes. So we've got 23 over 5, and we're subtracting 7 over 2. We need to have a common denominator. Again, the same as we did for addition. 10 is our common denominator. So we've got 46 over 10, subtract 35 over 10. 46 subtract 35 leaves me with 11 over 10. How many times does 10 go into 11? Once, remainder 1. So our answer is 1 1/10.